Welcome back to The Great Journey.
The Great Journey.
We're six friends dedicated to re-exploring the vast universe of Halo, one installment at a time. We'll be covering the books, graphic novels, films, and of course, the games. We will be discussing, learning, and reminiscing along the way. My name is Robby, and I watched over 40 hours of Wheel of Fortune this past week to appease the wheel because, as you might have guessed it chose me as the host again.
Womp womp.
So give it up to my fellow luckier co-hosts, Tom, Will, James, and Charlie. Jim is off living it up when things are about to go down. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Doing awesome.
Yeah, I mean, spring's coming. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot this week.
Time to put away that winter jacket. But last episode, we discussed chapters 13 through 17 of Contact Harvest. Here's a recap. Johnson, Byrne, and Ponder worked to train their fledgling militia before they inevitably battled invading aliens. The two species formally meet on the surface of Harvest, but the affair grows tense when Macabubs reveals that they desire an object known as an oracle. An overeager grunt attacks a soldier, the parley erupts into violence, and the two sides retreat and prepare for war. As Harvest consolidates its citizens back to the capital, the brutes begin launching attacks to the surface. Protecting a straggling group, Johnson and Byrne jump in and attack the chieftain, badly injuring Macabubs. Meanwhile, back on High Charity, the Minister of Fortitude and the Vice Minister of Tranquility begin their coup. They present the trove of Forerunner illuminations from Harvest to their onboard oracle, but the monitor erupts in distress. It reveals that the illuminated glyphs represent reclaimers, which means that the Forerunners appear to still exist, and their sacred religion is based on a falsehood. Upon hearing this, the ascending prophets come to the agreement that they will keep this covenant-breaking secret under wraps. We know you want to get to the climax of Contact Harvest, but before we do, we must first get schooled in this week's... Charlie?
Actually.
Well, actually.
Oh, it's our lovely segment where we have the chance to get any unresolved questions answered and or corrected anything we might have said in error. We are learning as we go along, and we strive to get the facts straight. So this week we answer some lore questions. And first, let's talk about the Legolo. Those worm creatures we saw in High Charity. James asked what value they have for eating Forerunner tech. Upfront apologies for the long response, but it's an interesting topic. So here we go. A response from Panic Attack on Reddit may shed some light on this one. Upon first contact with the Legolo, the Covenant discovered that the worms had a penchant for eating the various Forerunner ruins that littered their homeworld. Outraged by this desecration of holy grounds and relics, the Covenant declared war against the Legolo. However, much of the Legolo population was concentrated in and around the very Forerunner sites, which the Covenant wished to preserve, so it couldn't just glass the worms and call it a day. Ultimately, an arbiter was anointed and set down to T, which is their homeworld, in a bid to break the standstill. There he noticed that there was a subpopulation of Legolo who are eating their way around the Forerunner artifacts, but leaving the artifacts themselves intact. Investigating further, he managed to establish a dialogue with these worms, and they came to learn that they venerated the Forerunners in much the same way the Covenant did, taking the Arbiter's findings and deciding that the religion of these Legolo was compatible with the Great Journey. The Covenant established an alliance with them and basically sponsored a worm crusade. At length, the religious Legolo were able to kill, convert, or subjugate their relic-munching kin all across T, and their race as a whole was officially inducted into the Covenant. But that's not all. To add from Halopedia, The Sanshyum hope to use Legolo to explore the Dreadnought and other Forerunner artifacts by creating minuscule tunnels for the eels to enter, allowing for the Legolo to gather data on their surroundings with microsensors ingested by the Legolo. After many ages of experimentation on lesser relics, Sanshyum finally decided to allow the Legolo to explore the Dreadnought itself, of which they currently had a limited understanding of, for fear that their studies and research on its processing pathways may damage vital systems. So, it appears that the Forerunner relic eating Legolo were eradicated and used individually to assist in accessing hidden Forerunner tech. As we will see and likely cover in later installments, the Legolo serve many functions both on and off the battlefield. One more question we raised last episode was about the prosthetic limbs used by the alien races in the Halo universe. Do they exist, like Captain ponders? So according to some sources and many comments online, the idea of prosthetics is considered taboo in the Covenant, mainly Sangheli culture. That said, according to Halopedia, the complete list of characters that have prosthetics in the Halo canon does include one alien character. But that, dear listeners, is all we can say for now.
Ooh. Worm Crusade, huh?
Alien Crusade. Worm Crusade. Do you know who it is?
No, I do not know who it is.
I can't think who it could be.
Right, who uses a prosthetic?
What alien character uses a prosthetic?
What?
And you said something about the Worm Crusade.
Do you know, Charlie?
I do. That's
I
because
assume
I
he
did the
does.
research. So, we'll
I
get
wonder.
Are we going to get there this season, or is it
Oh
going to
fuck
be
no!
a little bit down?
We'll see y'all back here in 2034. Tune in.
Well, with that, we got a long ways to go, and let's move into the media tonight. So we're going to wrap up our read of Contact Harvest, covering chapters 18 all the way through the epilogue. So starting with chapter 18. Having breached and commandeered the Tiara, Dadab and a group of grunts await orders from command. Dadab elicits help from a fellow Ungoi, Babap, and they explore the alien tower looking for any valuable information they could bring to the brutes. They find the control room and, realizing the circuits make up one large machine, Dadab races to bring this info to Macabubs. Back on Rapid Conversion, Macabubs deals with his battle wounds and weighs their situation. Despite orders from High Charity to destroy the planet, he still desires the Forerunner artifacts, and the coveted Oracle still eludes him. He is called to the hangar where a firefight had broken out and finds that Tartarus was forced to kill some Yanmei, which are those Covenant drones, in order to protect Lighter Than Some. Macabubs disciplines Tartarus for hurting the Huragok, but both are surprised when the creature finally reveals what it was working on. Not a rebuilt spirit dropship, but brand new brute choppers. Dadab convinces the chieftain to borrow Lighter Than Some to investigate the Tiara's control room. And for chapter 19, Johnson and the militia arrive back at the Capitol Guard. It appears that by delaying requests for reinforcement and with no other choice, Governor Thune consolidated Harvest's population to the city's Park Mall. Fearing his own citizens' uprising, Thune barricades himself in his office, where Johnson and Byrne find him arguing with Al Signy. It is revealed that Loki, having left an operable cluster in Sif's control room, has made contact with one of the aliens. Thune is livid that Al Signy and Loki are conspiring against him and argues against a plan that would use the citizens as bait. Al Signy then commands a situation where she points her weapon at the governor. Johnson and Byrne dispatch his guards that are trying to defend him, and she fires upon Thune. Except they are training TTR bullets, and they merely incapacitate the man. They now set their plan in motion. Meanwhile, back on the Tiara, Lighter Than Some dissects the control room as Dadab and Pap keep watch. The Huragok tries to communicate with the humans and finds out what really happened at first contact. Before they are interrupted, the grunts steer the intruders away. Meanwhile, the Huragok speaks directly to Loki. The pair plan to reveal the oracle to the chieftain and hope to bring about peace.
Yeah, touching first and foremost, they're definitely building up sort of this competition or tension between Macabus and Tartarus. He had to discipline him for hurting lighter than some. Although it sounded to me like he was protecting him, really. But whatever.
I think he just didn't realize that holding lighter than some too tight was actually hurting him. He was just trying to, yeah, like you said, just trying to protect him.
Could be.
The drones, they try to kill lighter than some. They're not. It's kind of like reading through this and how like the grunts and all these races interact with each other. We've already talked about it with like the jackals and the grunts. It's like there's like real friction between all these species, and it's like some of these grunts don't even believe in like the great. Like it seems like they don't even care about the great journey or any of this stuff. It's like you definitely don't get this perspective from the games.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely sorts of makes it humanizes and makes it kind of relatable to like. I mean, that's something we would think that only humans would deal with, right? All this faction when, yeah. I love that they go into that into this book. It just does make it seem like, okay, maybe the Covenant isn't all high and mighty as, they're portrayed in the games,
Not all rainbows and butterflies.
This is a little bit of like a deep cut, but that one grunt that gets recruited to help Dadab.
Bap.
Oh yeah, Bap. So he's talking about the I think High Charity, and it looks like one of his cousins like lives on High Charity, and he asks him like, what's your cousin's name? And he says, Yayap, son of Pum, which, well, he's one of the main characters in the Flood book, which is like the book that takes place during Halo, the first game. And he's like one of my favorite characters in literature. So it's funny, like this dude's like related to this other grunt in the Halo book.
Not just Halo lore, not just Halo books. You're talking literature, period.
Yeah, I love this character. He's so funny. So I mean,
Okay.
you guys will eventually get to that book. He's an awesome character.
I've actually heard that name before, so that's a good pickup.
Yeah.
Pickup. Yeah.
He's a fan favorite in the community.
You finally figure out what happened with Sif. Was she dead? Was she still alive? It looks like Loki purposely left that one operable cluster for the basis of possibly talking to the humans, and looks like his plan worked because later than some accessed Sif and was able to then open up a line of communication with the humans. About this details at instead of working on the spirit dropship that he was supposed to be repairing, instead he made 3 brute choppers. which the book I from what I'm understanding, his first contraption that he was making was that actually one of the choppers originally? Because I guess the initial description didn't make me think of it, but then when he revealed to Macabus and Tartarus, what he was actually doing this whole time, and the description in the book was like, oh, that's a root chopper.
I thought at first he like made a shovel or something like that, right? Or
There was a
like
scene where like Adab was trying to figure out what he's been doing, and he's like, I made this peace offering for the humans, and I thought it was like a mini Jotun that he was working on.
Yeah, like one on the first ship that they took over and he killed the guy, right?
Yeah, yep.
Then in this chapter, they made it sound like it was made of like harvest machinery parts. So I guess is that what these Jotuns look like? Is actually like a brute chopper? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, the blades on the chopper,
Yeah.
they're, I mean, designed to like till the
I
soil.
guess yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the brutes, thought that it's like, oh no, these are blades, these are weapons.
You put gun on it.
Yeah, then you just got lighter than some. He's just trying to, just trying to make peace, and everybody else just wants to kill each other. Definitely, always been pulling for lighter than some throughout this whole book. It just
I mean, he was the one who started everything, so guilty as charged.
true,
First
true.
person to murder someone, even if he is sorry about it. No, I'm kidding. I feel you though.
Yeah, and he just kept getting like rougher and rougher as the chapters went on. Like more, I always felt like more sacks were like dragging on the ground, and like he got yellower and yellower or whatever. Yeah, made me feel bad for him.
Yep. So,
We're
well, let's
continuing.
move on to chapter 20. So, down on Harvest, Captain Ponder makes his way to another requested rendezvous with the aliens. He meets the alien horde and presents them their treasured oracle. Except the article is a fake, and his presence is merely a grand diversion. Harvest's Mac cannon slams 2 rounds into the hovering rapid conversion, while it appears that the humans begin making their escape up to the Tiara. Furious, Tartarus executes the captain and the crew race back to the ship. Meanwhile, Dadab protects Lighter Than Some in his work, up until they are commanded by Macabubs to prevent any humans from escaping. Dadab pleads for him to follow orders, but Lighter Than Some blatantly refuse to assist the brutes any longer. Before the grunt can destroy the AI core, Lighter Than Some talks sense into Dadab and convinces him to disobey their captors. Back on board the damaged cruiser, Macabubs, first betrayed by his grunt deacon, is then confronted by Tartarus. The younger Jirlhane blames Macabubs for their failures and believes that they should have followed orders from High Charity and destroyed the planet, thieving humans and their fake oracles. And with that, the uncle and nephew face off in a battle to the death. The survivor will become the rightful brute chieftain. In a vicious fight, Tartarus comes out victorious, killing Macabubs and taking his armor as the new chief. Meanwhile, Sif reboots and awakens to someone repairing her circuits. Lighter Than Some announces he wants to help the humans in their evacuation. Even though Sif is broken, he promises he can fix her. So, starting off, Captain Ponder, I feel like that's just been like a undersung hero the past couple chapters, because they said he had a ruptured spleen and he just still wants to fight on and do what he can, and when he provides the distraction, he gets stabbed by the brute, and he's just left there to bleed out. So I mean, that just seems like his whole ending of his life kind of just sucked, but it was definitely heroic for the right reasons.
Yeah, it was a sad moment.
It was definitely building to that sort of conclusion though, and you can tell, especially like you said, once he was shown that he was wounded, that he was going to take one for the team. Kind of, it was fitting though, and I thought that scene where he just kind of like lights a cigar, and he's like, "Don't know what you're saying, but you're out of time," sort of thing, and finally get the Mac gun into action. It was just a really cool scene. I could picture like in a movie or something.
No, I was just gonna agree. Like the last, I mean, skip it here. Just like these last few chapters were just like, damn. And like this kickstarts that like last couple bit like, chapters, and I don't know. It was just really well written, and like Charlie said, like you can picture, vividly, kind of like just exactly how it's playing out.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, yeah, just like movie, and I want to say like sometime in the game, like Avery does the same thing to brute, or maybe it's an elite, but he has a cigar in his mouth and just like breathes smoke into the alien's face. So I feel like that would have been kind of just in honor of Captain Ponder.
Yeah, that's how Johnson. Like I picture him smoking the cigars in the game and everything. It's definitely, yes, like you said, harkens back to this character Ponder.
Is there only one brand of cigars in the Halo universe? Like, is
Probably
Sweet Williams
not.
just like
I would assume
enormous monopoly, like mega corporation that owns like half the colonies?
What kind of cigars are they again?
Sweet Williams.
Sweet William.
Sweet Willie. That's who we need to get a sponsor from.
Swisher Sweets
That's a real
rebranded.
deal.
We get a glimpse of, or he delivers a fake oracle to Tartarus, right? And in the book, it's would describe it as a networked intelligence. They had to use a powerful network relay to fake this thing. Because basically what I'm trying to get to is this whole time I'm trying to figure out what they were after. Was it an AI? Like what were they seeing as an oracle on the planet? Was it the AI, which I don't think it was, because
I
Sif
have a theory.
Sif was in the tiara. They didn't see it in the tiara, and Mac was in the power plant, or the planet's power generator. None of those were in the actual Capitol building. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if you have an idea, James, what is it?
That's a fair question.
Wasn't it a
But I would-
device that they made to just make it seem like it was giving off an oracle signal or something?
Yes, in this scene it was. They faked it, but then what? I guess my question is, what were they seeing this entire time? That said oracle.
Let's call back to, I guess, the first interaction, right? Of them seeing an oracle in the garden, right?
Right.
And at that point, was it Loki? Who's shooting videos to
I think it was Loki
Macabus?
disguised as Mac.
Yeah. And they're like, oh man, it was right there. And the other thing, so I do think it's AI, because the other call out, Charlie, is the Oracle on High Charity is also an AI. So that makes me think these oracles are AI. But yeah, in terms of and maybe it's a specific type of AI, and the reason why they only have one reference for Harvest is because Loki/Mac, or maybe it's just Loki, might have data that O and I have given it, and that kind of gives off a certain signal.
Well, that makes sense, James. Because Loki was he was a special kind of AI. He was like a security AI, and isn't the AI on the Oracle in High Charity part of the Dreadnought? So couldn't that have been a security AI as well? So to your point, they just only have one reference point, which is the security AI. So they might be saying Loki.
Yeah, that's fair, because otherwise, yeah, they would have immediately seen a quote unquote oracle on the tiara, aka Sif, if she gave off the same whatever it is picking up on. Yeah, I bet it has to do, yeah, with either the type of AI or maybe the underlying data it has inside of itself. So part of my thinking here is Loki also is Oni property, and who knows what Oni is uploaded in terms of Forerunner knowledge or tech or whatever. That's some of my thinking there. But I do think, Charlie, I think oracles are AI. That's been my assumption going
I want to think that
forward throughout the book.
I swear there's something in a couple chapters later. It mentioned it was some sort of artificial intelligence. Really, I'm trying to find it.
So just a point, if the Oracle is an AI, how long has that thing been alive?
The one on
humans,
high
High
charity.
Charity, yeah. Because the humans ones, right? They the really smart ones, the smart AIs, die
7
after
next
7
year.
years.
Well, do they die or do they it they do degrade. I think they also become almost obsolete. So it's not worth time to take them offline and fix them because they're degrading at such a rate that it's like, okay, well, we already have better technology. Where my understanding with the Oracle on High Charity is that isn't powered constantly, like the smart AI is that humans are using, right? And that also might be why, remember, Loki and Mac, they share power and they flip flop resources. So I think that's how I treat the Oracle on High Charity is they don't power it on constantly. Just because of the power it takes for that thing to work. That might be why, but that's a fair point. That's
I
a good
It's also Forerunner,
I would
right? Like the monitor.
I would just say that it's just completely more
That's true too.
superior technology than the humans possess right now, basically.
That is very true.
And I'm pretty sure we're going to learn more about the Oracle that's on High Charity in later installments.
Maccabeus and Tartarus, they fight to the death.
Yeah.
You know, after the trap and the ship's all messed up, Tartarus is like, all right, I've had enough.
I really
You know, I'm taking out my uncle.
really liked the exchange that they had, but right before they got to the fighting. Basically, Tartarus or Maccabeus is like, Tartarus, you're unfaithful, and Tartarus is like, you call me unfaithful, and he's like, I call you obedient. There's a difference, sort of thing. I thought that was a really poignant
Yeah,
quote.
I have it here, and he says, "Someday I hope you learn the difference."
You want to
And
read the
I
whole
think
thing?
that
Read the whole thing, then.
sure. I'm glad you have learned honor, Maccabeus said, ignoring his nephew's haughty tone. He motioned for Strab to retrieve his crested helmet from his command chair. I only wish I had taught you faith. You call me unfaithful, Tartarus snapped. You are obedient, nephew. Maccabeus took his helmet from Strab's shaking paws and settled it on top of his bald head. Someday, I hope you learn the difference. And then Tartarus roared and they charged and they start fighting. I think I wonder if they're trying to say something deeper with this exchange. I mean, I think there's something deeper in this exchange about how Tartarus, he stays obedient
Right.
to the prophets.
That's
Little foreshadowing his uncle was saying, giving him some advice.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to touch on this quote, because it's definitely a upfront characterization of this character. Which, I mean, we already said that he is gonna be. We're gonna see him later, but to see now that he doesn't really understand what's going on and just wants to listen to the high prophets. Wonder how that works out.
I wonder.
Well, let's close out the last couple chapters, except the epilogue. Let's keep going. Chapter 21. Johnson and a group of recruits ride up the Tiara with orders to take it back from the aliens. This will be the first step in evacuating the planet. With the strands cleared, they could bring up the population in cargo containers. They reach the orbital station and get to work, killing a slew of retreating grunts as they push on. However, down on the planet, the other squad of militia are not faring as well. Byrne is tasked with protecting Harvest's reactor and Loki's data center, but the group of brutes on their new choppers wreak havoc on the few defenders. Falling back into the building, Byrne comes up against another brute leader, Uranus, and is badly injured. Worse yet, Loki's processing room was damaged in the fighting. Uranus takes Byrne hostage and demands the squad surrender or he will kill the sergeant. Just then another group of Jotun descend upon the brutes and annihilate the invaders. The humans' fight lives on. Yet, The Jotans do not stop there, as they appear to overtake the reactor facility and work to prevent the Mat cannon from getting into firing position. In Chapter 22, Dadab and the Grunts can hardly muster a fight against the breaching humans. Just as they're about to be overrun, Tartarus arrives and turns the tide. He demands that Dadab take him to the traitor, lighter than some, but his Yanmei arrive first. Dadab finds his Hurgok friend ripped to shreds. Distraught, he kills the drones and destroys parts of the control center. Yet, with one shot left in his plasma pistol, he decides to take his revenge. Switching to Johnson, the arriving Covenant reinforcements are slowing them down. They watch as Tiara Strand 7 breaks apart and loses all of its ascending human cargo. Loki's comms are breaking up while Tartarus takes a charge at them. Just then, Dadab emerges and, bypassing Johnson, fires a supercharged plasma pistol shot at his own leader. The bolt disintegrates the Brute's protective energy shield, but at the expense of the Grunt's life, Tartarus destroys the Dadab with a swing of his gravity hammer. Now able to get shots in, Johnson pushes Brute back into the tree, and the Tiara is defended long enough to get the evacuating population into orbit. Sif, observing the battle and allowing the humans and Marines to safely evacuate the Tiara, gives the final order. Understanding that long after the humans leave Harvest, the aliens will be back to plunder. Sensitive data in her control room could fall into enemy hands, and they need to protect humanity. She orders the Mat cannon to destroy the Tiara and her core. There is a delay. It appears that Max still exists in the form of the many Jotans, which defiantly prevent the cannon from firing. Loki passes a last message from Sif to Mac, and they finally surrender. The mass driver round destroys the facility, ending her existence, and the Tiara slowly breaks apart. So that was a very exciting last couple chapters.
Yeah, it's some gut-wrenching scenes too.
I mean, I thought the start to this, the how they had claymores placed in, what was it, 5 out of the 7?
Yeah.
To try to surprise the Grunts, which, I mean, they had no tactical knowledge, so of course they're gonna fall for that trap. Thought that was a great maneuver to do.
Yep.
I was kind of surprised, just especially how that started off. You know, you had some Grunts just walking away that Jenkins was able to just like pick off real quick. That like the Grunts still put up a little bit of a fight, it seemed like.
Right. Yeah. Then there was the scene with Dadab like kind of pretending like he's trying to fight against the humans, but he's really just trying to escape. Bap Bap. Is it Bap Bap? His friend gets killed.
Yeah, Bap Bap.
Friend gets killed. And then, well, that leads into him discovering Lighter Than Some, which, that was tough to read.
Sad.
I really thought both of them were going to make it out alive.
Yeah, it was just it was tough to read. I mean, I'm kind of glad we didn't actually read it happening. It was more of like Dadab's perspective where he walks in on it and it's already done. The damage is done. He sees what happens, what has happened, But the drones essentially tore Lighter Than Some apart. Wasn't much left of him from what it sounds like.
Yeah, both Lighter Than Some, huge hero to human race right there.
Right.
He basically saved them, really, to allow them to escape. Who knows? I mean, if they didn't escape, then would they even like be able to like relay what the Covenant was about? Like maybe the whole entire species, it's Lighter Than Some kind of save.
It makes me wonder if like Johnson, I mean, it didn't mention it in the book or anything, but if like Alsigny and Johnson had this sort of like background mission to maybe protect him or capture him in some way, that there was a alien quote traitor they were using, obviously.
That's a pretty good point. Yeah, maybe they knew that they could try to find somebody who can maybe help them learn about the Covenant.
Right, and then they would have a Hurgok on the human side and imagine what he could have done for humanity at that point, but obviously can't change what's written. So
I thought about that, and I was also like thinking, I'm like, I feel like Lighter and Some would like see how humanity is as well, and kind of also be disgusted by it. I get that vibe from Lighter Than Some.
to be fair too, he obviously detested any sort of violence.
So Lighter Than Some, he repairs Sif, right? Like, am I understanding right correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed like he was
And
able to wire in and just fix her enough that she could come back to life. Because it was just like a cluster that Loki left open that would enable him to just sneak in, but like the whole at least Sif's core was down. It sounded like, and it seemed like Lighter Than Some was able to get in through the wiring and just be able to fix it through his magical Hurgok ways.
Yeah, we finally get the reason behind why Loki did that to her too. It was basically like the first iteration of the Cole Protocol.
Yeah.
She was too dangerous at that point, but
I really like the battle between Burn and that one brute. It's like three of them are like taking him on, and the brute's like still taking them all out.
yeah, if anyone I thought was going to die, it would be Burn. Looks like he makes it out. Obviously, really badly injured, but he was
Yeah,
able to fend off Varanus, whatever.
he's a badass.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's had a terrible last year too.
right.
Yeah.
I wonder if we see more of him in future
Oh,
installments.
that'd be sweet.
He was kind of like an unlikely, likable character,
Man, it's just so sad that Dab gets killed, and like when he dies, you're getting, you're basically reading it from Avery's perspective, and Avery doesn't really understand what's going on. Like, why did he shoot the brute? You know,
right?
because he even says like,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, he even says like Johnson's like, Dab basically had him dead to rights, but instead of firing at Johnson, he shoots Tartarus, which brings down Tartarus's shield.
Yeah, so in a way, he kind of saves humanity too, because theoretically, without destroying his shield, Tartarus would have probably killed those humans.
Killed all of
Yeah,
them.
so it's again both Lighter Than Some and Dab, helping humanity from the grave.
The real MVPs.
What are you gonna say, Tom?
Oh, I was just gonna say that it kind of made me a little bit mad at the book. Like he could have just let like sweet little Dad like live. I don't know.
What about in the context we just said though, where his sacrifice helped us turn the tide of at least this one battle, kept us fighting.
Yeah, I guess that makes me feel a little bit better. But still,
They were kind
Team Dad.
of unceremonious about him too. He just disappeared in one swipe of his gravity hammer.
Squashed.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit.
I'm sure that had to been relatively painless, nice and quick at least, right? Just getting squashed by a gravity hammer. Oof.
Here's a question for you, hosts. Would you rather get ripped to shreds by drones or one quick gravity hammer to the face?
Please blow away my brain.
Okay.
Gravity hammer.
Gravity hammer.
We'd all take the Dab.
Mhm.
Okay. That's it. I'd have to agree. There you go, Robby. We don't have to do that later now. You can if you support us on Patreon, we'll answer questions like those. Ta-da! Last thing, I guess I'll throw. Does anyone else have anything to say? Any points they want to throw out here?
No, not for me at least.
Okay, so right before Sif is killed, she's speaking to Loki at this point, and she's asking Loki to give a message to Mac. Mac's in the form of these thousands of Jotuns down on the planet. Their little computers that they have in the cockpit or whatever. So she's asking Loki to send a message to Mac, essentially. She goes, you reread number 18, and she goes, he'll understand what, or she says it's Shakespeare. He'll understand. And so I looked it up, and this is in reference to Shakespeare's Sonnet 18. The poem describes an admirer who tries to find the right words to adorn their beloved, which is a man. So it's written in a woman's perspective, it seems. However, understanding that many comparisons go away in time, the words and legacy of the poem itself will preserve that love. So basically, it's a poem that's about their love in that poem transcending time. Instead of saying like you are like a flower which will eventually die, or you're like a sunset which will eventually fade. Lines of the poem itself will hold that love. I thought it was kind of a interesting little capstone here on the end of this book. No,
It's so beautiful.
it is. I thought it was nice.
Yep. Yeah, it was beautiful ending. Well, we've got a hot epilogue right here. Kind of couple big things happen here. So getting into it, we've got on High Charity, the beginning of a new ascension has brought the Covenant homeworld together. As they rise to the apex of the city's dreadnought, we learn that rapid conversion proceeded with its destruction of harvest. Elaborating on their lies, prophets argue that the humans willing to steal or destroy coveted Forerunner relics may very well do the same to the sacred rings. Thus, a new age is born, and with it, a new enemy to destroy. They address the crowd and reveal their new hierarch names, the prophets of truth, mercy, and regret. Meanwhile, Johnson settles in with the remaining militia as their container escapes harvest. Despite many militia and civilians losing their lives, he is proud of his group. They will make good Marines and know firsthand how to fight this new enemy. Johnson checks on Alsigny and they talk business. Understanding that humanity is entering an all-new kind of war, Johnson believes that they are capable to rise to the challenge. He vows to be the soldier that the UNSC needs him to be. In closing, we have a fractured and spotty transmission from various Jotuns on Harvest. Desperately working to stay alive and broadcast back to space, Mac survives in the minds of the automated machines, at least until they are destroyed by the Covenant glassing. As he reminisces with Shakespeare, he works to bury sift circuit strands of the down tiara before he is completely annihilated. For eventually, humanity will return, retill these grounds, and the two can be together forever. Theme.
Another fucking gut wrencher there with the end. I really liked though how they wrote Mac's final few pages, where it was like it looks like code scrolling across the screen, and it was from all these. Basically, it told a little sentence, but it was from like different machines on the planet. That was a creative way to kind of go out.
Um, I don't think any of that was in the audiobook.
Oh, really? Nothing
Yeah.
on the epilogue at all?
No. Oh, the epilogue, the Ascension, yes.
Okay.
But I'm looking through the ebook right now,
Hmm.
and none of that stuff is in there.
Okay. Well, it's cool. The Ascension is more important, I think, here anyway. So, what do you want? What are you going to spill about the Ascension? Tell us, Will.
Just more Covenant world building. It's cool. They're talking about grunt merchants and um a drone queen being there, like everybody who's powerful, and the high society of the Covenant have shown up. Just more fleshing out the Covenant. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. But most importantly, we get our 3 hierarchs, these new guys that take the throne. Probably some guys you've heard of before. The prophets of truth, mercy, and regret.
Of the irony of the prophet of truth. Everything about them has been ironic, which is great.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
In
they
his
basically
mind,
call that out, right? Like
Yeah.
he has to live with the lies and the truths that are not true.
What is the saying? Like a lie told 10,000 times becomes the truth. So, he's speaking the truth.
And when you have the minds like Tartarus under you, probably easy to uphold that truth.
Gotta be obedient.
What do we think overall, guys, of the book?
I really liked it a lot. It hit me in the feels in a few different spots. Good writing, the action sweet. Get to learn a lot more about Johnson, which, you know, he's in the 3 Halo games, but, other than him being a badass, you don't really know anything about him. And in this entire book, you learn so much about him. That he's from Chicago and, all this stuff about him. I thought it was really cool.
I'm just going to add that he's the only character we know of that gets to talk business.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's a businessman.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's like it seemed like it, like in the games, like he was just like some random sergeant that just happened to be at the right place at the right time and just rose to the occasion. But he like this kind of just he's there from the start. So I personally love about this book how they really went in the Covenant side of things. I thought that was really cool and got to get some good background, which I didn't really have as much
Yeah, I
knowledge
agree.
or before.
If anything, I mean, what's going on with the Covenant and learning about them is, more interesting than what's going on with the humans.
Yeah, humans you could sort of see where they come from, but Covenant, like you don't really know too much. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, seriously, I want just more books about the Covenant. Like, I don't really care about humanity at this point.
I'm totally rooting for the Covenant right now. These guys sound awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah, well said.
Well, that was definitely a good read. The discussion over now. We are going to switch gears to our season 2 PvP tournament. But before we do, please take a moment to hear from our sponsor. This episode's match is sponsored by Moa Eggs. It's no secret that chicken egg prices have been rising. Does all this talk of interplanetary tariffs have you flapping out? What can you do? Well, a better egg option is within reach. Yes, I'm talking about Moa Eggs. When you think Moa, you might be thinking of the juicy burgers or crispy nuggets that come from their meat, but man, their eggs are just as much of a delicacy. And considering their size, just one Moa egg can feed your entire family. Make no exception. It's certainly more affordable than it might seem. If you haven't had one already, try a bite. Believe me, you will be hooked. So remember, don't let those chicken egg prices get you down. Be bold, be noble, and have Samoa eggs. This egg furnished by the Zygote Zealots.
Moa Eggs. Man, some good eating right there. I wonder if
Yeah.
Mr. Chef will cook with something like that.
They've got to next episode, right? That'd be
They're the
brilliant.
best with some bacon, some some cheese, and on a croissant. The Moa eggs really smack.
Oh, well, moving on to our PvP tournament. So, recap of season 2, match 4, with Jim sitting out. James picked the match, and the 5 of us battled it out with only gravity hammers on Narrows in Halo 3, just like the Jill Holly do it. when they're finding their new chieftain. So Chieftain James' new nickname is Bam Bam because he took the win. And the results of our third match of the tournament. Oh my god, I can't talk. The results of our third match in the tournament are as follows. James top of the leaderboard right now with 16. Charlie's not too far behind, but he's got 10. Will's got 8. Robby, myself, has 8. Jim has 5, and so does Tom. So all hail the wheel. Trust the wheel. Our next match selection goes to Tom. Tom, where are we battling it out tonight?
So, I was thinking Halo 3, King of the Hill on Heretic.
Nice.
Halo 3, King of the Hill. Well, that's your second King of the Hill choice, right? I think you did one before.
Yes.
Right.
I won King of the Hill, so I'm trying to set myself up for success here.
Might as well.
And that's the perk of the wheel, right? Like,
man loves.
Don't put yourself at a disadvantage.
Cool. Excited.
So James' new nickname, Bam Bam. Should it be Bam Bamus?
Bam Bamus.
Kind of Bam Bamus. There it is.
Bamus.
From the fucking Flintstones over here.
So only you can promote good content. And as always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Great Journey Pod. We're on most The Great Journey. We're on most major
The Great Journey.
We're on most major podcast platforms, and we'd greatly appreciate your likes, your comments, and your follow on these platforms to help boost our visibility. Do we want vengeance for Dad, Ab, and Lighter than some? Let us know your thoughts. Give us your input on the media, the topics we discuss, and even your ideas on how we can improve or what we should cover next. Anything, let us know. We welcome you to join the journey. If you feel like supporting our show, you could also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Great Journey Pod. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. It helps to offset costs of hosting platforms, editing software, music subscriptions, and the actual media, of course, all of which are the things that allow this project to keep on progressing. We aspire to be an interesting, thoughtful, and fun contribution to the Halo community. As a TGJ Patreon member, you will receive a shout out live on one of our episodes, and should you choose, we will answer a question of yours on air as well. So, let's throw one out there. What Covenant race would you like to be the most?
I would be the Shanshum, because they're basically at the top, and it seems like they don't actually have to, fight in the battles or anything.
They also don't have to walk.
That'd be so nice. Oh, that'd be so nice.
I'd probably want to be. I like the idea of being a pirate, so I'll be a Kigyar. I think.
Not bad,
dude.
Charlie.
Though I'm the only PvP player here that's a elite skin Halo 3, so maybe I'll be an elite.
I'd be between the saying Haley just because they're badass, or I'd like to be a Hiragok. I like fixing things, so just
you're an engineer.
be able to exactly right. Just have that be full purpose and actually be good at it would be nice.
Yeah, I don't. So I kind of agree with Will. Like I don't know if I'd prefer to be a Sandshroom, but it's who I like connected with the most, but not like the prophets, not like Fortitude and whoever, but probably like just the low level or mid level bureaucrat that has to do all the paperwork and shit. So I'd probably be one of those guys.
They're the most like Office Space.
Yes, exactly in my head.
So what do you do here?
What would you say it is you do here?
Well, we tell what a race to eradicate.
I take the worm to the Oracle. I'm a people person.
No, I would just be filing all the paperwork.
The Oracle tells us where the relics are.
James.
James.
Yes.
All right, good one. Woo!
Yeah. Sorry.
What race would you like to be the most? Which Covenant race?
St. Keely. I mean,
Badass elites.
yeah, literally. I mean, you're pretty smart. You're elite. You're a badass. You're like kind of like a Spartan, like warrior, like part of the 300. I feel like I don't think we get into the St. Keely race, but I feel like if I was a weak baby, they'd throw me off a cliff or launch me into space. So I want to be a St. Keely. Plus, I'm not looked down upon. So yeah.
True. Not like the grunts. What do you guys think Jim would be?
Saying Healy just based on his size alone. Or no. I'll take that back. He's a hunter.
Brute.
You mean a brute? A hunter?
Actually, yeah.
Not that big.
I'd say he has brutish.
Solo.
He has brutish characteristics. So
Yeah, that's fair. I like how none of us want to pick a weak race. So
we should have rephrased.
Maybe we should have limited the.
We should have rephrased this question as in what, like, you guys decide what.
Ooh, what everyone else is. We can retry that.
Yeah.
You want to
exactly.
You want to redo it?
Yeah.
Do it next time. Just have top 6 races and have
there
each person be a different one. We could do that next time. Or if if you decide to join our Patreon and ask us a different question, we'll absolutely do that one as well too. So
just as awkward as that.
Just as awkward and goofy as hell as that. But so what comes next? Well, it's about to get graphic, folks. No, not the blood or guts or bold censor bar kind of graphic novel kind of graphic. Next time, we cover the comic Collateral Damage, written by Alex Irvine and illustrated by Dave Crosland. As always, thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope to see you back here for the next installment of The Great Journey.
The Great Journey.
Hey, it's Robby, one of your hosts here on The Great Journey. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to connect with us, you can find us on most podcast platforms, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Great Journey Pod. If you'd like to support the show, you could do so at patreon.com/The Great Journey Pod. Thank you for your listenership, and we'll hope to see you for the next chapter of The Great Journey. Please, Wheel, do not pick me again. I'm done for a week at least.
I'm gonna laugh so hard when it does.
Just be good at Halo.
Oh, it is.
At this point, I'm actually I'm I'm hoping it lands on you, just because it'd be funny.
Well, fuck you, but you're probably right.
It'd be hilarious. We did this to shake it up a little bit, and so far it's completely backfired on us. So.
Oh, you guys want to? Well, I didn't throw this Halo joke out because it was kind of more Chicago based. So let's see if any of you guys get this. Where is the best place in Chicago to take an ungoy for a birthday dinner?
The best place in Chicago?
Yes.
An ungoy for a birthday dinner. Chuck E. Cheese? I don't know.
It's kind of more Chicago thing. I don't think there's anything outside of Chicago.
I don't know.
RJ Grunts.
I
know that was lame. I was thinking of sponsors, and I'm like, oh, RJ Grunts.
I mean, that could
I
work.
haven't been there in a bit, man.
Same.
I literally walked by it a week or so ago.
It could be a very niche joke, but I'll put it in.
It's a very niche joke. You don't have to put it in.
This one's for you, Chicago, The Great Journey listeners.
The Great Journey.
The Great Journey. Okay. I'll see you guys on Halo.